Hello, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to make a tier list, of course, with all the roles because I hit 5k subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing if you did so, and if you didn't, of course, do it now. You can still do it. We're gonna break this down in 4 videos because it's a lot of roles and I don't want to make a video of 1 hour or longer. And we're gonna start today with all the RRV tier roles. So I'm gonna just pick a role, I guess, and start. Role that I pretty much like. I'm gonna give this an A tier actually. Not my favorite role, but it's a fun role. Pretty creative back then as well. And yeah, not broken in my opinion. Can be pretty fun to play with as well. This is a more boring role, but it can be very exciting if you do a couple of good saves. I'm gonna put it on the B tier. It's definitely not broken, so definitely doesn't deserve a low tier. Might be a bit boring. I think a lot of you might actually put it lower than B. But yeah, I think it's a pretty solid role still. I wanted to drag the priest, but okay, we just get the bodyguard, I guess. The bodyguard, I'm gonna put it on the same tier as the doctor, also a B tier. Not bad, just not very interesting either. The finest would have been on the F tier or the E tier, but honestly, I'm gonna put it on the D tier. It's still not my favorite role. I don't know, it's not necessarily weak, but you still depend on kills. Just luckily not kills that happen only during the day. Apart from that, the info can be pretty accurate, but also sometimes it's not. So I guess D or C is for fair. I would say it could be C as well, but I'm gonna put it on D. Sea Apprentice. This role really relies on the death of other players. Since it's been nerfed, I'm gonna put it on the D tier as well. It's kind of like it doesn't deserve to be higher than the D tier, but I don't think it's deserving of a lower tier either. It's not broken by any means. I think it's a bit too overpowered in my opinion. I think it's fun to play, but I'm gonna put it on the E tier because of its strength. It's so strong if you compare it to the Beast Hunter. There's literally no disadvantage of taking Trapper over Beast Hunter, so I'm gonna put it on E tier just because of that, because I take balance in mind as well. Roles shouldn't be too broken, should be fun to play, and it should be somewhat original. One of the roles that has not been implemented yet, but it's of course tested multiple times, Locksmith, and in the past it was known as the Keymaker. I'm gonna put this role actually on the... this is tricky. I feel like a D or E as well. I'm pretty strict today, as you may notice. I'm gonna put it on the D tier. I think it's too similar to the bodyguard. It's like, in my opinion, not creative enough. Beast Hunter is a very likable role in my opinion. Has a lot of strategies, a lot of strength. Sadly, it's not reliable, but yeah, there has to be a role, I guess, that's not reliable. And the Beast Hunter is that case. But the Beast Hunter is pretty fun to play still, if you get trusted, that is. And I would say it's definitely a B tier. It's definitely not broken. Like, a Beast Hunter is pretty strong if you think of it, because it's a guaranteed werewolf kill if the trap triggers. Like, it's not like Flagger where you have to decide on who the werewolf may be. It actually is always gonna be a werewolf that dies, or a serial killer or whatever that gets stopped. The Bellringer is a fun role. I'm gonna put it actually on the A tier, because if you play this correctly, this can be a lot of fun. You may actually put it lower, who knows. I'm gonna put it on the A tier, because if you know who you are linking, then you can get some info in that way. You can just tactically place 2 people. So I would say an A tier. Maybe a lower can be, maybe B would be fair as well, but let's just go with A for now. Fun role, but I think it's a bit too strong if you compare it to the Aura Seer. So I'm gonna put it on C, the first C role. Any informer that's gonna check someone is gonna predict, is gonna gamble on finding a werewolf, technically speaking. So that way it's not very unique. The Witch is a role that I like a little bit more, but it's not very unique. It's gonna be a B tier as well. It can be fun to play as a Witch, you have some sense of power. I would say B tier as well. We're getting a lot of Bs, but yeah, that's what you usually get. A lot of good roles, but not very unique. Well, this one is unique. It's pretty easy to confirm yourself, but it requires death. And it also confirms someone bad as well in that case. So I guess it's a B tier is fair. It's kind of a unique role if you compare it to most of the roles here. The mayor is a role I like to play as, but it's not a very balanced role. So I can't really put this in the top category. I'm gonna put it on the C tier actually. This is just a role that nobody wants to play most of the time because you are a big scapegoat for the Guardian Werewolf. And you don't have much use apart from saving the seer in a shadow storm, for example. But I'm gonna put this on the E tier. Ah no, that's too bad. I think it's D tier, more like. Just a bit boring to play with. The Avenger, which is actually my favorite role and still is gonna be an S tier role. Even though in terms of CVF score it's not the best role, it's not even the top 10 role, but it's purely because it's pretty much a copy of the Junior Werewolf. But I think this is so much fun to play. Tagging someone when you are obviously not the wrong player is a lot of fun, taking revenge, but also strategically setting yourself up for death, for example, trying to manipulate the werewolves into killing you instead of someone else. Can be fun. So I would say like S tier for Avenger. Let me know what you place this role on because I'm pretty curious to see how you think of the Avenger, which is my favorite role still. The Overseer is an old role and it's overshadowed by all the newer Informers. But I have to put it on the C tier. I'm gonna put it on the D tier because it's boring, but it's a very important role. Not as in you play a game and the Overseer is one of the strongest roles. You have to protect it at all costs. It's not like that type of important, but it's important because auras are a big part of the game, and that's the mechanic of an Overseer is pretty much what makes it important. It really is a thing that makes this game stand out to me. So yeah, Overseer D tier, I guess. And the Forger is one of the roles that came in the game because of some role contest that I hosted on this YouTube channel. Forger is self-provable, a bit slow, can be pretty strong. I'm gonna put it on the C tier. In the past I liked it more maybe. Also maybe the old version of the Forger was better than its current one, but yeah, let's put it just here. A little bit too overpowered still. Like they nerfed it and buffed it and nerfed it, you know. I'm not gonna say it's a trash role, but this is too overpowered. I'm gonna say it's an E tier role. Just disabling the werewolves for one entire night in terms of killing, it's just a bit too ridiculous in my opinion. Easy self-provable. The Meteor mechanic is pretty cool though. It's like between a marksman and slash a priest and a gunner. Actually the Meteor saves it from the F ranking here. In my opinion, just a less Avenger. I guess Loudmouth is a B tier worth role. I think Bellringer is still nicer to play, and yeah. A very fun role nowadays, since you can check actually for 2 people. Predicting kills, one of the things I like most in the game, slash setting up yourself to get killed, or doing some bait with the werewolves. Those are like very fun things. And this is what the Sheriff is about. Not of course baiting werewolves, but foremost predicting what happens. So the Sheriff is gonna sit on the A tier, definitely since it's buff. Otherwise it would be a bit too weak for an A tier in my opinion, but I think the balance is now fine. The Priest is a classic as well. I'm gonna say it's B tier. It can be fun to play. The only annoying thing actually is when people randomly water, just because they wanna water, I guess. Like, sometimes random water can be good, not meaning that you are watering a werewolf at random and then it's good, and if you water a villager then it's bad. Not like that, but more like if you randomly water when it's really necessary, then it's a good thing, of course. A really fun role now that actually gains an ability when predicting. So I'm gonna put this on the A tier as well. I don't think anything is gonna top the Avenger. Or maybe there is a role, I don't know. We'll find out. You will find out in this video. Very fun role in my opinion. Can be abused a bit. I'm thinking about putting this on the S tier as well actually, now that I'm thinking of it. But yeah, A tier is probably more fair. It's still self-provable, which still makes it a bit too strong. It's not competitively viable in that way, but yeah. Then I'm gonna go with Marksman, which is actually one of the best roles as well in the game. I'm gonna say this is actually an S tier role as well. It's not as fun as Avenger for me still, but it's very fun to play. It's definitely not broken, and it can be used in a lot of ways to balance out the setup. So an S tier is definitely deserved, and can be simulated to some extent by evils even. Although it's always a little bit tricky. You can buy some time with it, I guess, but that's just it. In my opinion, one of the worst roles, I don't know why I resized that, but this is one of the worst roles that we are gonna see today. And this definitely belongs on the E tier. I think it's a little bit too harsh to put it on the F tier, but it's pretty strong because it can confirm the easiest claim roles, namely protectors. Like, if you're an evil, you wanna usually pretend a role, and the protectors are like a very easy role to pretend. But if there's a Night Watchman in your game, there's just no room for pretending, because the Night Watchman can just confirm all the protectors, and that means there's no scapegoat anymore. But if the Night Watchman checks who is like protected and actually communicates this with the village, all the protectors are pretty much confirmed good, and there's no leeway for the werewolves anymore. Then you really are depending on informers and just killing power, I guess. Alright, the Baker is gonna be on the D tier because it can prove itself, so that always drags something down. Like, that's also the reason why Preacher and Grumpy Grandma aren't really on the S tier. And on top of that, it's just like a reversed... It's just a reversed Grumpy Grandma. That's just how I see it. I don't think this role is really that cool. Maybe a C tier is also fair, but I would say D tier. I know that's a lot of people who would disagree with this, but I'm gonna put it on the D tier. Although, admittedly, I would be fine with putting it on the C tier as well. The Butcher is a protector. I think it's too strong. That first of all, it's like a doctor, but it can guarantee more protections pretty much. I'm gonna put this on the D tier as well, because I think it should be nerfed to like 4 protections per game. That may sound like, oh, that's so limited, but most of the times the Butcher cannot even protect, first of all, in the first night, and second of all, Butcher is not gonna live for that long usually. Like, at some point it will just be killed by either the werewolves who don't see them as the scapegoat, or he's gonna be scapegoat and he's gonna be pushed out. So Butcher isn't likely to actually need more than 4 protections. It would still allow for some variability in protections. Like, if you're gonna choose a strategy to protect 4 people in one night, you are pretty much guaranteeing a save still. So I would say like 4 protections in the game would already be fair. But in that case, the Night Watchman has to be nerfed again to 2 protections as well, because otherwise the Night Watchman would be way stronger than the Butcher. The worst role today, which is the Pacifist. The Pacifist is going to be an F tier role. I absolutely disgust this role. It is because it can debunk any fake RV claim. It's just annoying for everyone because nobody can vote. And on top of that, someone is gonna either have their identity revealed, their secret identity as a villager, and sometimes that's a good thing, but if you're a medium and you're randomly revealed by a pacifist, you don't want that. Definitely not on day 1. It's foremost really annoying for werewolves, so yeah, that's why it deserves an F tier. The Spirit tier is a role that deserves to be on the C tier, I think. Maybe B tier as well. I would say B tier. This is like a very fun role. This is a role you can play in different ways, like mono checking or double checking. That means checking 1 or 2 players definitely have different outcomes, and this can also be manipulated by werewolves if they don't kill. They can like actually avoid a Spirit Seer's effectiveness, which is why I think it's a pretty good role. One of the best informers for sure in the game. And the Judge is also a pretty fun role. I may actually put this on the A tier, but I'm not very convinced yet. It's like either an A or a B tier, but this is a very good role. I hope this role makes it to the game as soon as possible, unless it's broken, unless there's like glitches. But this is a very fun role. Let's put it on the A tier. I know you've been waiting for this moment. Probably the Ghost Lady is one of the fan favorite roles. And I'm gonna put this, yeah, this is difficult, man, between S and A. Since it's nerfed, it's definitely less fun, but it's more fair. I'm gonna put it on the S tier. Still, I think it's more balanced nowadays, and it's still as fun to play because you can still play mind games with the werewolves. The flagger is going to sit in the B tier. Pretty nice role to play with. It is more flexible than a beast hunter, but maybe less effective. Fun thing is you can actually stab a solo roll, or stab. You can redirect to solo rolls, which actually makes this maybe stronger than a beast hunter. Very fun rule, but a bit too strong if you compare to the beast hunter, still in my opinion, because it's so flexible. A tier. Yeah, I don't know, you cannot really judge the RV category as a whole in the same way as any role. An RV in the game, it just adds that element of surprise, and you really never know what an RV is gonna be. Pretty much all these roles, except for the ones that I haven't released yet, are possibilities as RV. So that's so much difference. You can get like an Avenger who can like take someone down but needs death. You can get like an Informer RV. You can get like a crazy Protector. You can get like a mystery ghost lady. You can get like a mayor at the end of the game. You know, it's just a fun thing. I don't think setups without RVs usually work that well, unless you have alternative claim space. But yeah, the RV is definitely an A tier role in my opinion. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this one. In the next part we will go over the RSVs, which is the stronger villagers, and also we'll go over some roles that are like villagers but not in a specific category. Talk about the president, the Easter Bunny, the Santa Claus, fortune teller, and that stuff. If you enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you will also love this one right here. So go click on it and tell them you came from this video. You can also subscribe and turn on the bell to never miss any new Wolvesville video anymore. Trust me, they only get better. I will then see you later, and don't be a traitor. Goodbye.